speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. Strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of Superman.
Welcome, this is William, and I am the Bold Cavalier.
And I am Tony, and I don't like my superhero movies starring Ryan Reynolds. And this is our superhero podcast in honor of the Avengers and probably the 90,000 other superhero movies coming out this summer.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do a little superhero podcast for you. We're going to talk about our favorites, best, worst, what should be out there, what shouldn't be out there, and so on. So, Bill,
Yes.
How about Stan Lee? How about that guy?
Stan Lee? Who's
Stan
that
Lee.
guy?
I don't know.
I don't know him.
I don't know. He's a guy who does cameos in movies,
Yeah, I know,
think.
all the time.
And
It's
probably
that
gets paid a few $100s.
Old guy that's always in
Yeah.
superhero movies for
He's
some
so
reason.
old. Why are you so old?
Kevin Smith just seems to adore him. For some
Yeah, I don't know. It's paternal. Stan Lee. Stan Lee, and forgive me, I don't know who started DC Comics.
I know one of the big names is Bob
Schuster?
Kane.
Bob Kane. Oh, I'm sorry, I did know Bob Kane.
Mhm.
He did that little, what's that called?
I don't know.
Batman.
Batman.
He did Batman.
Batman.
Anyway, yeah, they're my childhood before Star Wars.
Mhm.
And after Star Wars, for that matter, but before Star Wars, there was Stan Lee. And I loved, because Stan Lee used to put his little 2 cents in on every comic, and I think, why do you think Marvel Comics works so well?
Well, I don't know. Before Star Wars, I was a fetus, so why does it
Damn
work
it,
so well for
I forgot, folks. I'm kind of old. Anyway, can we edit that? I'll tell you why Marvel works so well with me. Backstory, depth. And I'm a hypocrite because I will complain about that later in today's modern superhero movies. But deep backstory, depth of character. I just think Superman and Batman notwithstanding in the DC universe, Marvel cornered the market on just writing great. They were the Pixar of the comic books. Like, there were other comics out there for years, and then all of a sudden here comes Marvel, and they just changed the game. And like Pixar, they seem to have the best writers. You know, how does that happen? You know, and they seem to keep getting the best writers and filmmakers and original ideas. And I'll say it again, like Pixar, there's a depth to, that's why movies like Finding Nemo and Monsters, Inc. work so well. There's depth to the characters, and even the side characters have weight to them, and that's why Marvel... And that's why Marvel works for me, and that's how I spent my summer vacation.
Yeah, I was always a big DC person, but I have to admit that Marvel definitely had better writers. I think they thought up their characters a little bit better than DC. My entire collection was Batman comics until Image came on the scene in the 90s. But, my biggest one was Batman. And then, of course, Superman was there, but I was never into Superman in the comics as much as I was on the screen. But Marvel, yeah, I think their writers and their character creations, they put a lot more heart and thought into what they were doing. Yeah. And I think Stan Lee had a big, of course, had a big hand in that. Let's do this and let's do that. So where love Bob Kane, always will, but he seemed to me to be a little bit more, hey, I created Batman, and that's all I'm going to do.
That's it.
Created Batman.
You know what? I'll do him again a little darker for you this time, and I'm just going to do Batman.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But I think that's the reason why Stan Lee is, in all these Marvel movies, because, he kind of made them what they were.
Yeah, you're right. We went to Baltimore Comic-Con, my family and I.
September.
Is it coming this September?
Yeah, it's going to be in
Okay.
Baltimore, September.
be dwarfed by all the Star Wars stuff. We went a few years ago, and Stan Lee was there, and we weren't gonna stand in the. I think it was like a 6-hour wait. The line wrapped around the entire convention center. You know, it was ridiculous. But we were talking to somebody, and Stan Lee had to go to the bathroom, and they said it was like the president going to the toilet. There were like 5 people, and they'd stand around him at the. Like, really? Jesus. I mean, I love you, Stan Lee, but come on. You're at a comic convention. You're going to get mobbed. Just deal with it. Anyway, that's... I was... Yeah, I mean, Marvel over DC. I think Marvel had more. I mean, even to their lesser ones, in my opinion. The Submariner. Do you even know him?
No.
Since you were a fetus when he came out in the comics. He was the Marvel version of Aquaman, only he was cooler.
That's not hard to do.
because like the Submariner, I mean, you know, he came from Atlantis, and he was dark, and he had a help me, not a pitchfork, but a trident. Thank you. I'm sorry, folks. I'm a little tired today. He had a trident, and he kind of looked like Hugo Weaving, if my memory serves me correct, and he had these high eyebrows.
Trident.
Yeah, but he was really cool, and he didn't just summon fish. You know what I mean? He fought, and he had it like all Marvel guys. He had a dark backstory, but even their lesser characters were pretty awesome, I think. While we're on Aquaman, you know, Aquaman's coming.
Yeah.
In the I don't think he's gonna have his own standalone movie.
2018.
Is that when they're doing this?
Yeah, James Wayne.
Oh, he is going to do it.
Yeah, Aquaman. 2018.
Jason Momoa, baby. He's going to be in the Superman, you know, versus Batman.
Right.
Aquaman, everybody makes fun of him. He's not a horrible superhero. I mean, okay, look, as long as your problems take place in the ocean underwater, he's the greatest superhero ever.
I freed a tuna today.
That's right, yeah, right. I called a carp.
How many submarines can you save and boats?
Yeah, I mean he's not. Okay, there's a good example. Lesser DC character versus lesser Marvel character, and the Marvels still went out. But this whole Batman versus Superman movie, I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. You know, it's almost like, all right, I'm coming. You know, it's like your best friend calling you up at 4 a.m. and you have to be to work at 7. Hey, can you come get me 45 minutes away in my car? But all right, I know I have to, so I'll go. Aquaman's gonna be in it, and the only reason it's the only reason I'm super excited about seeing Superman versus Batman. Because Jason Momoa plays Aquaman, and he looks great. And I like Jason Momoa, and I hope he has a good career ahead of him, because his Conan remake was atrocious. He didn't direct it, so not his fault. But anyway, yeah, I mean, he looks good. Have you seen the pics of him
I've seen
as
pictures
Aquaman?
of him, yeah.
He looks good.
Looks better than Ben Affleck looks as a Batman.
His Batman suit looks really bad.
He looks like he's...
It looks like he's just...
Batman.
Yeah. and he looks like he just threw the suit together right before he walked out of the house.
It looks a lot like the Batman Year One. You know, the black cowl and the, you know, gray and the black symbol. You know, very Frank Miller. But he looks huge. I saw him next to a picture of Michael Keaton, and Michael Keaton wasn't, you know, small.
Yeah, he just tightened up.
But yeah, Ben Affleck just looks like he ate the Joker.
He does. Yeah, I saw that. I saw him as Bruce Wayne in a suit, and it looks like he's uncomfortable because he's pooping out.
Yeah,
you know? I'm like, Jesus.
Now is that weight, or is that because he's supposed to be like?
Well, I think he buffed up pretty bad, pretty big for the movie. I mean.
Should have worked on his neck.
Right, yeah, and he just looks uncomfortable. And I'm not one of the Affleck haters. He's a you know.
No, I think as Bruce Wayne, I mean, it's a nice bridge from Christian Bale into an older, you know, kind of middle-aged Bruce Wayne. I think he looks the part.
Yeah,
it's
he looks
just
fine.
In the suit, just didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't look
do
right at all. And I I didn't like Man. We won't spend a lot of time. We might. I didn't like Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I saw it at the theater, I tried to talk myself into saying, yeah, it was good. And then rewatching it, I rewatched it twice, and it's gone down. I need to stop because it keeps going farther and farther down. The only thing I like, and not because I'm a Russell Crowe fan, because he's done a lot of bad movies lately, so I'm not biased, but the only thing I like are the Krypton sequences, or, hey, Jor-El's kind of kick-ass. He's fighting with swords, and that was all kind of neat. But
it's because you're a Star Wars fan, and as I've said before, it was Attack of the Clones.
You are correct,
the first 20 minutes of that movie.
You are right. But, I'm not a big fan. It's a joyless superhero film. And there shouldn't be any... There should be joy in every... even the darkest...
right.
Even in the Dark Knight trilogy, the Nolan ones. There was joy.
Right.
Ish. But I mean, there was humor in it. There's nothing in Man of Steel. Everything is deadly serious. The only moment, and I snickered at it, and it's a cute joke, when he's talking to Lois Lane, and he's in his suit finally, and I'm surprised she could see the S because it was so dark. And she says, what does the S stand for? And he says, oh, on my planet, that's a symbol for whatever. And she says, yeah, well, on my planet, it's an S. Yeah, that was funny. But and that was it, other than that. And Amy Adams I think she's a fine character actress. And I didn't like her as Lois Lane. And I didn't like him as Superman.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not going to spend this whole podcast trashing Man of Steel, but I didn't like it, folks. And same director and writers for Batman vs. Superman.
At least it wasn't Superman Returns.
Well, no, at least it wasn't Superman Returns. But in defense of the first 35 minutes of that movie, I was like, hell yeah, here we go. And then the rest of the movie played.
Downhill from there.
Oh, shit. And Kevin Spacey. Oh my God, folks! Some Kevin who won a couple Oscars.
Kevin Smith,
Kevin Reynolds, Kevin Spacey.
Kevin from the Wonder Years.
Worst Lex Luthor ever. Horrid. It was like he was just, all right, I'll do it.
And I thought he would be awesome.
Me too.
I was like, Kevin Spacey, he's going to be bad.
Well,
yeah, he was bad.
Can I retract my statement put that statement on hold? He might be the worst ever. The extremely annoying Jesse Eisenberg is playing him in Batman vs. Superman.
Oh, is he?
And by your face, you think the same that I do.
Yeah, I don't.
Jesse Eisenberg?
And I don't mind him. I know you didn't like the movie, but the Now You See Me? I actually liked him in that. But no, not Lex Luthor. No.
Yeah, he's just going to be doing his little thing he does. He's like a character in a Woody Allen
That'd be
movie.
just as bad as putting Anakin Skywalker. Dead air. Why am I blanking on his name? Because he was bad.
Hayden Christensen
is Superman. Let's put him in the suit.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be terrible.
Seriously,
that's almost as bad. It'd be like if they made Ryan Reynolds the Green Lantern.
I know.
Oh,
really.
Wait a second. They did that. Those dumb bastards.
Seth Rogen as the
Hornet. Green Hornet. The Green Hornet. I'm glad you brought that up. As I scratch it off my list. What a great character. I love the old TV show, if you've ever seen any episodes. The great Bruce Lee is Kiddo, and forgive me, I don't remember the guy who played the Green Hornet. Sorry.
He was next to Bruce Lee.
He doesn't matter anymore. And a great theme song, theme music. And just that awful remake, And who said, of all the actors, Seth fucking Rogen. We can get him.
Yeah, we can get Seth Rogen. Idea. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And then him and Kato can smoke pot and talk about girls and...
The person who casted Thor was like, hey, let's get Seth Rogen. You're fired. And then she went and did...
Thor?
The Hornet.
Oh, that's it.
And I'm making shit up. That is
totally right. False. I was like, wait, what? She suggested Seth Rogen for Thor? Oh my God, why is she still working? Right.
Well, whoever it was for the Green Hornet shouldn't be working anymore either.
No, and I don't wish hate on any movie except a Michael Bay film, but there it is. Every podcast there'll be a dig. Everyone. But I'm glad that they spent like $110 million on the Green Hornet, and it made like 70. And I'm glad that means there'll be no sequels, no reboots, and for a while anyway.
Yeah, for a while.
Well, yeah. Okay. That leads us to too soon reboots. Leads us to Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
The Spider-Mans.
Are they rebooting that?
I sound like no. Well, yeah.
Yeah, they are.
I sound like David Wayans, the gay reviewers. The Spider-Man. Spider-Man, little old Spider-Man. I'm loving Living Color. Yeah, they're rebooting it again.
Do they need to reboot it again?
No, they didn't need to reboot it the first time.
Well,
the first. I am the Spider-Man fan who says the first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, I think, just along with I will speak of later my two favorite superhero movies, just got it a gazillion % right. A gazillion %.
They were good. They were really good. No, there was a lot of emotion in it. I think I liked the second one better than I liked the first.
Well, it's because it's better.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really good. I saw both. I saw 3 of them in the theater.
Me too.
But I really, really liked the second one. After he saves them on the subway and
they're carrying him
across.
That was a good moment, yeah.
Just the feeling and the emotion was just right on.
Yeah.
And then they did the third one.
Even Sam Raimi admits he effed up the third one.
I'm tired of them doing that, the sequel. They did that with the original Batman series, too.
They did it quick.
And they did that quick, too. It was like, after the second one, I like the second one.
I like it. It's got problems. It's messy, but
right after that, they went downhill.
I always said I don't hate Batman Forever.
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot, but it goes down a little bit each time I see it. I think I've never been the biggest Jim Carrey fan.
Mm-hmm.
And he annoys me as the Riddler. I know.
Oh, me too.
And my problem is he's just trying to channel Frank Gorshin.
Oh, definitely.
From the TV show, and put a new spin on it.
Right.
I.e. Heath Ledger is the Joker, i.e. Jack Nicholson is the Joker, was different from Cesar Romero.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Tommy Lee Jones, one of my favorite actors, annoyed me.
Yeah, he was not a good Two-Face.
No, he wasn't. And but Val Kilmer was, in my opinion, a great Batman and Bruce Wayne, I think.
Yeah, I think he was decent. I mean, he wasn't Michael Keaton.
No.
But, if they're going to replace him, yeah, he wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got himself booted out of that series immediately.
Yeah.
He had an ego back then, I guess.
Well, a lot of people had the egos, unfortunately.
And then I don't even want to, unless you want to spend time talking about Batman and Robin.
Why?
Garbage.
Why would we? That was just absolutely terrible.
That was just horrific. It was really bad.
Again, must have been the same casting director for the Green Hornet.
Yeah, right.
Let's put Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
He wasn't horrible at first, and then he blew it immediately.
Yeah, but
it's like, hey, he's kind of cool. And then immediately goes south. Immediately.
Yeah, but anybody who knows the comics, I mean, he just
didn't
fit.
No, I know, you're right.
Put, okay, Mr. Freeze in the comics is kind of a frail-looking, bald old man, and, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You're right, yeah.
He's huge. Let's put him in a weird-looking Mr. Freeze costume.
Yeah.
Why?
Get to the chop. I mean, Freeze.
And then Bane looked like a Power Ranger.
Bane just popped out of the plants, and that was ridiculous to me. And Uma Thurman, I didn't like her as Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a strong enough villain to put in the movie anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Bane was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He did look like a popped up Power Ranger. Yeah. We can't get these minute and a half back that we just spoke about Batman and Robin.
We weren't going to do it, and we ended up doing it. It just sucked us in.
I'll end it with, I love George Clooney. He's a wonderful, wonderful actor and apparently a wonderful man. Batman and Robin's probably the worst thing he's ever going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. And he keeps saying that, I killed the Batman. That wasn't you. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You just acted in it, you dolt. Anyway, yeah, enough of that. Just getting back to Spider-Man. For me, the first two Raimi ones were spot on, with the second one even being superior to the first. Third one was a mess.
Yeah, third was terrible.
They rebooted it way too soon. They should have given Raimi some rest and let him come up with a better Part 4.
Right.
Because Tobey Maguire, who nobody thought was going to be any good, I thought he was great as both Parker and Spidey. And they rebooted it too soon with an actor that doesn't really thrill me, and Andrew Garfield. And they modernized it too much, and they took away completely the comic book feel of it. That was, for me, that was the great thing about Raimi's Spider-Man films, is he laid them out, the first two. He laid them out like a comic, like the comics he grew up on. I mean, each sequence looked like you were looking at the 4 or 5 frames and on your page. And then the new one had to modernize it. Peter Parker was supposed to be kind of dorky, but he wasn't. He had a hip hairdo, and he had a skateboard, and he had his little backpack, and he was cool.
Well, in the newer comics, in the Amazing Spider-Man, what they tried to go with in the later storylines, he was kind of more hip and a little bit cooler. He was still kind of the geek, but more of, having his hood over his head on a skateboard type, Peter Parker. And in that aspect of those comics, I think they did a good job. I actually didn't mind The Amazing Spider-Man. I think I'm with you. They didn't need to reboot it, but I'm glad that they went with a different... Or so soon. But I'm glad that they kind of went with a different storyline with it if they were going to do it, because I didn't feel like it was necessarily a reboot as it was doing a different comic spin on it, since that comic had already been written.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It would have been dumb to do it the same way.
But yeah, I'm with you. I think they should, give people a chance. They want to kick out these sequels so much, and when they fail, they go, let's redo it.
Yep, nope, last one failed. Even though the first ones are considered by many people 2 of the best ever, nope, let's just start over. And you said you didn't mind The Amazing Spider-Man. Just for those of you who are confused on your superhero movies, that's the reboot with Andrew Garfield. I almost hated it. Not because of the reasons we spoke about, but just because it's so boring to me. Like the Lizard, I've always loved that character in the comics, and they just made it so boring, and it felt drab to me. I give it like 2 stars. I don't like it. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's just, for me, it just didn't play. It didn't work. And the second one, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and the director, when he rebooted it the first time, same director, Mark Webb, he said that he loved the Raimi stuff except Part 3, and he said he thinks where they made the mistake in Part 3 is they put too many villains. They put 3 villains in. So what happened? Did you see The Amazing Spider-Man 2? There's 3 freaking villains in it. And Jamie Foxx bored me. Paul Giamatti was wasted, because Paul Giamatti is a great actor.
Yeah, he would have been really, really good.
And then the Green Goblin was wasted. And when he got into his little Green Goblin suit there at the very end, it was the same shit. It was Willem Dafoe's from the original. Yeah. So I'm like, wait a minute, are you trying to distance yourself? Or I just...
Well, that was my problem with the first Sam Raimi ones, was James Franco. They kind of just skated by with him. It was like after William Dafoe died, then the whole storyline with James Franco, his son, was just like...
It was secondary.
Now he's mad at Peter Parker and he wants to kill Spider-Man, and now he's helping him and
I didn't
dying
mind.
for
I didn't mind that.
It was goofy.
And then that's what Part 3 should have been.
Yeah.
It should have been all in the comics, he was the Hobgoblin.
The Hobgoblin, yeah.
And that's what it should have been, completely.
Right.
We don't need the Sandman, which was a boring character anyway. And then, who the hell was the other one, the third one? Oh, the black, I can't remember the name. Venom, thank you. It just didn't work.
Or they could have just went with Venom, because everybody loves Venom, and they probably would have loved to see a whole storyline of just that whole thing.
Or even just the 2, Venom and the Hobgoblin, coming up at the same time. That's fine. We don't need another one.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Amazing Spider-Man 2. So here's the thing. I'm of two opinions about this third Spider-Man reboot within a decade, by the way. I don't think I'm just stop now, please. Just no more ever, please. And then at the same time, all right, let's wipe out my memory of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 and see what you can do now. So I'm of two opinions.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the Raimi ones, 1 and 2, hold up.
Yeah, I just think there's too many of them. I think you should just, if something's bad, step back, like you said. Step back, see what didn't work, and come back to it.
Yeah.
And, stop just thinking you have to make a whole new series.
Yeah. Part 3 just didn't work because it had 3 villains. What are we going to do in our sequel? Let's put 3 villains.
Superman 3 wasn't the best of the series, and they came back with 4.
No, but it was probably a good idea. Oh, God. Superman 4, Quest for Peace?
Right. Ooh. But at least they kept, the same people in it. They weren't trying, 3 didn't work, so let's go and reboot it.
Yeah.
No, let's come back with a 4. Yeah. And the 4th wasn't that great either.
No, it was not. It made 3 look like 2.
But at least you don't, keep replacing actors with...
And we're so quick to do that these days. And everything. I'm surprised because the second X-Men Days of Future Past, that was the second one, right? Of the new X-Men.
Yeah, because the first one was Origins.
Origins. But
that was Wolverine. Was it? What was the
X-Men? His standalone were.
Yeah, what was that?
Wolverine and the Wolverine.
Yeah, I thought it was the.
Yeah, it's X-Men. I don't know, but while you're looking that up, we don't want to bore the audience.
Yeah.
The second one, Days of Future Past, they had to push up the production a little bit because Hugh Jackman was finishing up Les Miserables at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised that in today's, sorry, Hugh, we're going to recast the part so we can get moving. You know what I mean?
It was First Class.
First Class, that's it. You know what I mean? I'm surprised that's not what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. And just, anyway. And that's the way, X-Men, that's the way we should do it. We talked about this in our 80s podcast, the reason we need more and more Star Wars, and we could use maybe 1 or 2 more Indiana Jones, and depending on who writes them, is there are stories to be told. They're not just grabbing the money, and let's just get more money, just make up anything and put them in it. X-Men, it would have been too much to keep going on X-Men because Part 3 wasn't very good, because they gave it to the wrong director. But now we're seeing the origin stories, and there's more stories to be told. And, we could go on X-Men movies for decades with all the side stories and the back stories.
There's so many of them coming out now.
Yeah. And I really like the X-Men movies a lot. But for some reason, I don't fawn. I own them. I love them. I see them when they come out. I have not been disappointed except for Part 3. And I don't like the 2 standalone Wolverine films. I was very disappointed. I hate the first one. Don't like the second one.
Yeah, I wasn't too big on the first one either. And I was hoping for the second one because I remember that storyline in the comics. And I was looking for certain things that it didn't deliver. And it was very disappointing.
I love Wolverine, and I love Samurai, and I love Japan. I'm like, this is going to be a great one. And nope, it just wasn't. But the first one, it was better than the first Wolverine standalone. I hated it. I walked out there. I couldn't believe what I just saw. I was so mad. I was so mad. Anyway. And plus, and this is me being a little geeky, nitpicky, but it kind of pissed all over what we'd already seen come before. In the first X-Men, when Logan, i.e. Wolverine, for those of you who don't know, meets Anna Paquin in the bar, and they're driving home in the snow, and they get attacked by Ray Park and the Toad, and Sabretooth,
Sabretooth,
who is his brother.
Right.
they don't know each other at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yet in the Wolverine story, well, brother, we'll see each other again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. So I just anyway, that's nitpicky, but
some people weren't watching their own movies.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, I love the X-Men and I love most of the movies, but I don't know, for some reason, like when we talk about Batman and Superman and Spider-Man, I'm like, yeah, and the blue, the blah, and the blah, and I'm like, yeah, I love X-Men. Okay, I don't know why I can't.
Right,
but I love them. But they're really great, and the first two, and Bryan Singer directed them. The first two were just phenomenal superhero movies, and that's the way you do it,
right?
Especially with those characters.
And the third one could have been so much better.
Oh, yeah.
With the whole Phoenix storyline, I mean, they should have delved into that a lot more than they did, and it was especially being one of the best storylines from the X-Men. Everybody knows about Phoenix and all that whole series.
Oh God,
so
yeah.
It's kind of like, well, let's develop that instead of all this other crazy stuff.
I agree. So, speaking of groups of superheroes, what are they called? There's not much talk about them anymore.
The Smurfs.
The Avengers. The Smarts. What is that?
I don't know. I was just thinking of a group of...
The Smarts.
I said the Smurfs.
Oh, the Smurfs. I'm like, who are the Smarts? Amy Smart? Didn't she shoot somebody? The Avengers.
Yeah, the Avengers.
Pretty good bunch of superheroes gathered together. The first Avengers movie, what do you think?
Good. It was very good.
I think it's fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, awesome.
What
can you say? It was awesome.
Exactly. Load of fun. You've got... In those superheroes, you have three of my all-time favorites as a kid. Hulk, Captain America, and Iron Man. I love Thor too, but those three were just always it's huge for me. No, it's just, what can you... It's a blast. It's nonstop fun. It's there's a Stan Lee cameo. It's nonstop fun, and it's big, and it's not overly... annoyingly CGI'd. I won't say it. Yeah, well, like a Michael Bay movie. and it works. And every character meshes, and the roles are perfectly cast, and it's wonderful.
Well, it's good that they have kind of their own movies first. I know that's kind of what they wanted to do. They have their own movies, so you kind of get to know the characters there, and then you bring them together instead of just, let's just throw them all together in one movie and let's go from there. They're already developed, which is nice.
Exactly. Yeah, so, it's like, my old friends got together and saved the world.
Right.
And
they're big name actors too, so it's not like let's replace everybody in this. Get everybody together and we're going to replace everybody.
Right. It's funny, and I was watching, and I'll very quickly tell you what I thought of Age of Ultron. But I was watching it and I was thinking, wow, look at this caliber of actors they got for the Avengers. You have Downey Jr., who's been Oscar nominated and who's been in a couple Oscar nominated films. Sam Jackson's been Oscar nominated, been in more than a couple Oscar nominated films. Scarlett Johansson, I don't think she was ever nominated, but she does great work, and she was in like Lost in Translation, many nominated films.
I was gonna say, you better mention
Lost in Translation.
No, Black Widow.
Oh yeah, of course. Jeremy Renner was nominated for Best Actor for The Hurt Locker, and it won Best Picture. Mark Ruffalo was just recently nominated for the massively overrated Foxcatcher. And Chris Evans. I said, oh, poor Chris Evans.
What
if they all start talking about the Oscars? You have nothing to say.
At least he got out of the Fantastic Four franchise.
Oh, man. Good job. Good job, Chris.
Made a smart move there.
Yeah. Just real quick for the listeners, I saw Avengers Age of Ultron. Bill has not seen it yet.
Yep.
And it is a good film. What we just said about the Avengers, the first one, is not what I say about the second one. It's good. It's an overly complicated plot. I mean, lest we forget, yes, we're all the fanboys and geek boys. We're all growing older now. But there are also kids going to see these things, so you have to trim a little. It's an overly complicated plot, an overly stuffed plot, and an overly stuffed cast. I won't give away spoilers, but there's so many special surprises for comic book fans of the Avengers universe in there. And they changed the story of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think on set anybody, just as a joke, when they got pissed off at Scarlett Johansson, called her the Scarlet Witch? Anyway, can I get a rim shot? But it's just it seems overstuffed, and there's a big opening sequence like all comic book movies where they're all fighting bad guys. Hydra. I'm not giving anything away. Hydra exists, and they're fighting a Hydra hideout, and you know how they always do after 15 minutes, and all of a sudden the credit comes up, boom, the Avengers, and we're like, yeah. There wasn't that because it wasn't a strong enough opening sequence. And anyway, we'll speak more about it once you've seen it. But it was a good film. I'm not giving it a bad review, but I was a little disappointed in it, what they did.
Yeah,
so
well, it's definitely making a lot of money. So
it's making a lot of money.
I don't think they care. As long as they're lining their pockets.
They're like, holy crap, Anthony didn't like it. We need to fix part 3. We'll put 17 bad guys in it. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be part 3 and 4 apparently. It looks like it's going to be what's the storyline they're going to be doing?
I don't know.
Infinity War.
Infinity War. Yeah.
And they're going to be making that into 2 movies. It looks like.
That's cool. And they should end it. Because there's only so far we can roll with even. And I don't think there should be any more standalone Iron Mans or Thors.
Yeah.
I think we've played that out.
I think there's going to be another Thor.
Oh, is there? There's going to be another Captain America, which actually sounds cool. And but then we should start petering out a little bit here.
What do you think about Black Widow getting her own movie? And all the controversy around that right now.
I don't agree for the simple fact that, she's cool. And I am a human male, and I have no problem sitting there for 2 hours watching Scarlett Johansson in the tightest of leather, jumping around and being sexy.
But is that the problem? That's all we get is her. We don't get anything else.
That's my point.
And they need to have.
What
about our young female superhero fans out there?
Exactly.
They need positive role models too, and what
have
we given them?
No, she's cool and all, and that's fine, and that's the way she.
Have you seen the Target commercial for the toys?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, she's not in there anywhere.
You know what? They're not on anything. They have these special Nestle quick chocolate milks with all the Avengers on it, and I got them for my son.
Right.
Except for Hawkeye. Hawkeye and Black Widow get the shaft.
Well, even Hawkeye in the toys, they have like a whole set. Oh. And even Hawkeye and Ultron.
Spader, baby.
All in it. She's not. Even Hawkeye. Hawkeye's in there.
James Spader and Robert Downey Jr. at odds again, like they were in Less Than Zero, an 80s movie we failed to mention on our 80s podcast. Spader's very good, I will say, as Ultron. Very good.
Yeah. Good.
They could have done more with him, but man.
Yeah, I'm not going to focus on it too much, but I just think that some of the female characters, you finally get a powerful female character, and they don't focus on her whatsoever.
Well, there's a little more with her in this one. And
but it's like a love story, though.
Well, it is. But it's she's in control. She's not swooning.
Okay.
She's in control of it. I won't tell you who. You probably already know, but I won't tell you who she's in love with. No, it's good. And I'm not knocking her feminist side. I think that's going to come up a lot on this podcast. I don't think of that when I see certain films, i.e. The Avengers. I think she's feminist enough. She's a freaking superhero in The Avengers, you know. But no, I see what you're saying. But no, it's a decent, well-handled thing.
Okay. Well, I'll see it.
And you brought up the Fantastic Four. I don't know how much we can talk about this. I don't want to talk about it. They were never one of my big ones.
Yeah.
Anyway. I mean, I had some comics, but I was never... And the 2 movies that were made were atrocious.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. Well, I think the Fantastic Four, again, it was one of Marvel's, the first, group of superheroes, if I remember right. I think for
I'm not sure.
People older than us, who grew up on the comics around that period of time, I think that really kind of that was their X-Men, their Avengers, and I think they did it poorly. I'm interested to see what they do with.
I've seen the preview for the reboot, and actually, I don't mind. Something needed to be fixed with these fantastic. So go ahead and reboot it. I'm not dying. I mean, I'll see it.
We'll see
I
how
saw
it
the
goes,
preview.
though.
It looks like everything else.
Yeah.
You know, they're in. All the suits are starting to look alike.
You
know, which leads me to a quick question.
The Fantastic Four always looked alike.
I'm talking with other the
in
Shield
the
agents are starting to look like the Fantastic Four, starting to look like the X-Men. It's all right, real quick, and then I want to get to a few more things here.
What do you want them in yellow and black spandex?
That was a funny line. That was a good line. I like that line from X-Men, and we shouldn't have to explain that to the people. Are there too many superheroes at once? Movies, sorry, at once. I mean, can we not space them out throughout the years? I mean, I know our actors get older, and we need to.
Well, they're popular.
Does there have? Yeah, I know. I guess. Yeah.
And so the studios are jumping on it. So they're going out, they're buying all the rights to comic books.
Ant-Man. For God's sake.
Oh, I like Paul Rudd. So
I love Paul Rudd.
I'll watch it.
And
I'm not expecting much,
and I had
but I'll watch
few,
it.
but not all of the Ant-Man comics. I don't remember what I thought of him as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the preview. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Who's a superhero you'd like to see on film that hasn't been?
A superhero that I'd like to see on film that hasn't been?
Yeah, that hasn't had a movie yet.
Ooh.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a main character.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think some of the Image stuff that they started doing, it's very reminiscent of the X-Men, but Gen 13 or Wetworks.
I don't know what that is.
Team 7.
I dropped out of comics somewhere in the late 80s.
Yeah, this was more kind of early 90s. But again, Gen 13, and it was great too because Image had, and this isn't a comic podcast, so I won't talk too much about it, but Image did a great job of kind of combining all their comic books. So like Gen 13 was, I think, one of their first ones, but you find out that there were the children of the people that were in Team 7, so the different comic books had really kind of linked with the characters. The different names came up all over the place, which Image did a great job. So something through Image I probably would have liked to see. Hellshock, that could be a very dark and dark movie if they ever did that as a comic. But I'm sure there's a lot more out there that...
I already spoke about mine, so I won't say it again, but Submariner. He's a pretty dark... just think of Aquaman as a dark, depressed character, and who can do way more cool shit. That's Submariner. I always thought he'd make a good one. Real quick, speaking of dark superhero films, it's not really a superhero film, it's more of a comic film, but V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta. Yes, great movie.
Speaking of Hugo Weaving, who should play the Submariner.
Yeah.
It's a great one. I would say we spoke of that on last podcast, but we didn't. We did, but we didn't figure that out, folks. We're re-recording.
He has a great voice. I think Hugo Weaving has just a superb voice. I could just hear him talk. He should read audiobooks.
He should, yeah. He could read me all 4 of the scripts to all the Transformers movies, and I would sit right there. Go ahead, Hugh, and what happens next? Is there another bot? Yeah. No, V for Vendetta is a great... Again, not really a superhero movie. Yeah, right, yeah.
Sky Scream.
I don't know. Yeah. I gave up.
Optimus Prime.
Schmoptimus. All right. Worst superhero film.
Mine?
Yeah. Did you make one?
I do have one. No, I made it.
What's that?
No, worst superhero film. Now, I'm sure there's probably out there. They've made a lot of superhero films.
And Superman 4 doesn't count, because they tried.
I mean, they've been making American superhero films since 1920, apparently.
Right. That was the first, Bill, a little piece of trivia for us.
The first one was...
The first superhero film.
The Mark of Zorro.
In 1920.
1920.
That's cool.
Yeah, pretty nifty. And they made a whole lot of sequels after that. But the one that I can, to this day, and I'll start it off by a quick story. I convinced my wife to go watch this movie, and I told her, I said, if this movie is bad, I owe you could pick the next movie that we watch.
So she picked the next one as well?
Halfway through this movie, I turned to her and I said, so what next 10 movies do you want to watch?
Wow, okay.
Hellboy.
Folks, He's family, so I'll have to see him at certain holiday functions. But this is the end of our partnership. Hellboy.
Hellboy was so terrible.
Hellboy.
I would have walked out.
Wait, Hellboy.
If
Guillermo del Toro,
yes.
Ron Perlman.
Yes, I love Ron Perlman.
I own them both.
I dislike.
And Hellboy 2 is even better. Really?
Disliked both of them.
Wow.
I thought they were terrible storylines.
I've met people that don't like them, but I've never met anybody that hate them. No, we're talking worst superhero movie of all time.
Of what I've seen.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Like I said, there's probably others out there that
it's all subjective.
But I haven't seen them.
Wow. That's I'm hurt.
Now there's probably
I'm
to
hurt.
say all time is probably
no, I know
doing disjustice because if I think hard enough, there's The Punisher. That was terrible. Any of the sequels to The Crow was just absolutely horrid. So I mean, there's other ones out there that.
But you're talking about something that
I had high hopes for. Went in, sat down, watched it, and
had good people behind and in front and
right.
Yeah. Okay, well, Hellboy, holy, I didn't expect much like when we did our top 5 of all time, and you started out the gate with frickin' Elia Kazan's Exit to Eden. Oh my God, I quit.
Good old
folks.
Anne Rice.
Right.
With
but I am
Rosie O'Donnell. Was that Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah, Rosie O'Donnell in S&M leather.
S&M leather.
I can't unsee that. I cannot unsee that. Oh my God. Anyway, I am equally as shocked as hearing Hellboy.
And I love Ron Perlman. I think he's a great actor, even though he's
he'll do anything.
Yeah, he's good. But I just did not.
I didn't mean he'll do anything. That came out. Yeah,
just didn't like that movie.
True. Wow. Okay. All right. I'm sorry about the dead air, folks. I'm in stunned silence. My worst superhero movie. Again, I don't know of all time, but I was thinking about this last day or so. I have to say Green Lantern.
It's another bad one.
It is so bad. He was always a favorite of my DC superheroes growing up, and it was just handled wrong, incorrectly from beginning to end, from who they chose as a director, from the way it looked, from the casting. And I'm not being biased because I hate Ryan Reynolds. I'm looking forward to Deadpool. I think. I don't know.
Because he's in a mask.
Yeah, right. Good idea.
And doesn't talk much.
Yeah, but if he's smarmy for 5 seconds, I'm walking out. It's just awful. It's dumb. There's no sense to it. It's ridiculous, and it's just probably the worst I've seen. Probably off the top of my head. Yeah, I can't focus, folks, because he said Hellboy.
I don't know. You just mentioned a really bad one, and would that be worse than that? Probably would. Yeah. But for something that had enough, that I don't know. It's just, to me, I mean, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, other terrible superhero movie.
Here's the thing. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was as bad as the world says it is, but it's not good. Right. It's not good. No. It's a mess.
So, no, I think there's a lot worse out there.
Yeah.
So,
I understand what you're saying.
Forgive me.
And that's actually a good choice, because when I pick, and we will early next year or late this year, when I always choose my worst of the year movies, I could go and I could, whatever Michael Bay did or whatever Adam Sandler did or whatever, it's too easy. I don't have an example. Right? Oh, I do have an example. I think it was my worst of that year when it came out, 2009, 10, The Blind Side, which won Sandra Bullock her Oscar. I can't get that out without shooting myself. And nothing against her. I love Sandra Bullock, but it was a showy, ridiculous, bad TV movie written performance, and it was unrealistic based on a true story, and the movie was putrid, and I hated it. But I see what you're saying. But my point is, that's a movie. It wasn't some little schlock film that's easy to pick on.
Right.
It's something that tried and was actually nominated for Oscars. But it tried to do something. It had good people, and so I see what you're saying with Hellboy. It's we could, And mine was maybe too easy. The Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. I could have picked the Fantastic Four, either one. Those are just automatically crappy movies. But no, I see what you're getting. Yeah, okay. No, I understand. Not everybody likes Hellboy, apparently. And you saw 2. You didn't like 2 either.
Yeah, didn't really care for 2 either.
Okay.
I don't know, something about them just.
That's all right. That's all right, folks. Like I said a few podcasts ago, we'll work through heinous shit on this podcast. We'll work out personal problems, and Bill and I need to see a couples counselor right now. All right, let's have some fun. That was fun, actually. The best. Briefly speak of each one. Your top 2 superhero films.
Top 2.
Or would it be easier just to say your favorite?
I don't know. My favorite.
Should I give mine first?
Yeah, go with yours first. Let me think about this.
All right. My number 1 and 2, I should do...
Which I know what yours
Again, I get in trouble. Yeah, I know. and forgive me, I don't remember what you said yours was. We had a list. Anyway, I'm sorry, we're having a private conversation on the air. Hey, Bill, did you get that one?
What?
Check this out. My 1 and 2, I'll make them number 1 and 2, but they technically tie for me. And I get a lot of shit for making ties for one list. But Superman 1 and 2 are the 2 greatest, in my opinion, superhero movies of all time. You already knew that. Very briefly, just full of joy. I spoke about the joyless superhero. Full of joy, full of fun. Christopher Reeve, born to play Superman. Margot Kidder, born to play Lois Lane. Perfectly cast. Kept enough comic bookiness to it while keeping it a little real and adult for everybody, and still just loads of fun. We talked about how Spacey was just sleptwalked through his role as Lex Luthor, whereas Gene Hackman just made it something from the movie gods. He was fantastic.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and including Ned Beatty and Valerie Perrine as his cronies. Marlon Brando, $3 million for 10 minutes. He kicked it hit it out of the park, or whatever sports analogy you want to use. No, it's just, they're great movies. They're lots of fun. The bad guys are great, and they're full of emotion. And at the end, we've shown them to our son. I have them on Blu-ray. My son's 6, for those of you who don't know. And at the end, he gets so excited every time. Both of them, it's probably the same shot. He flies and turns to us and smiles and then shoots off across the universe. And my son gets so excited. And you know what? So do I. Because Christopher Reeve and the filmmakers brought such a joy and love to those 2 projects. That they just encompass everything, in my opinion, that a comic book movie should be. And therefore, ergo, they are my favorite superhero films of all time.
Yeah, I don't think you can say much about Superman.
The John Williams score.
John Williams score?
Lest we forget.
Mm-hmm. No, Supermans were amazing, and they'll always be timeless. Good old Christopher Reeve will always be Superman in my eyes. I don't care who plays him.
Indeed.
So, but mine, I don't know. There's so many out there that I really, really like. I mean, from recent, Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass.
V for Vendetta. We've talked about The Watchmen. There's just so many out there, but I think my favorite will have to be The Toxic Avenger. No, just kidding. No, just kidding.
I was about to say, after that goddamn Hellboy comment, that better not be.
Swamp Thing and
Return of Swamp Thing.
Son of the Mask. No.
Oh my God.
Well, I think we talked about it before. Judge Dredd. No. I think. I don't know. We've talked about it already, but I still think one of my highly favorites is the Tim Burton original Batman.
There you go. And it's a good one, yeah.
But like I said, there's so many out there. I really like the dark ones. So V for Vendetta, The Watchmen that you mentioned. Those are definitely.
That's one of my dad's all-time favorites.
Definitely up there.
He loves The Watchmen.
It's just it's different. It's let's give a different take on the whole superhero. persona.
Yeah, you can see superhero penis and superheroes have sex.
Right.
Wait a minute, is this a superhero movie? Yes, it is.
And you're going to kill me, but I think that movie did a much better job of showing the washed up superheroes trying to regain themselves better than Birdman did. I think they told the story a little bit closer, but...
Okay, but to be fair to both films, which I think both are near masterpieces in what they're trying to do, that's like... I mean, I don't have a good example right now. I don't have time to think of an example, but that's... I hate this phrase, but that's literally comparing apples to orange. That's comparing apples to cheeseburgers. I mean, one's a serious, based in reality
I'm just saying,
thing.
It still had that same idea, though, of...
You just want to dig a Birdman.
I did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, that'll be discussion topic down below. Let's now harass Bill and his opinions.
Oh, we wouldn't think of it after your Hellboy comments. Then you get on Birdman? Why don't you just talk about my mother next time? Jesus. Anyway. No, the Burton Batman's good. I like it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. It came out at a time where I was still reading so many Batman comics, and I was just looking so forward to it. I was in 6th grade at the time it came out. I think I wrote a poem about the movie. I was very, very much looking forward to it, and I was day one it came out in the theater. Big smile across my face watching it up on the screen.
You were in 6th grade when that came out.
Yeah.
The next year, the 1990, I had a son.
1990?
Yeah.
When did it came out? When?
Batman came out in 89.
Okay, I wasn't 6th grade. Where the hell was I?
I was gonna say, wait, that's not right.
Yeah, that can't
anyway,
be right.
Whatever.
Because if it came out in 89, no, because I was...
It was summer of 89.
I was 8th grade.
Because summer of 89, and this could be a future podcast, but just real quick.
I thought I was a lot younger than that. But no, I guess I was in 8th grade.
Yeah, so, okay, that's a little better.
A little bit better.
But summer of 89 was one of the best summers.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Jones, Last Crusade, Lethal Weapon 2, Ghostbusters 2-ish. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah, no, I do, but come on. Yeah. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And, yeah, Batman. A good summer. Yeah. No, I like Nicholson. Keaton took a lot of flack, and then guess what?
Well,
everybody shut up when they saw the movie.
Well, even the beginning of him on top of the building with the two bad guys.
Oh, that's great.
And he,
who are you? Batman. And the audience just went nuts. Do you remember that? They just cheered and clapped. That was great. No, I love the Tim Burton Batman. And which should lead us to our final, our grand finale, which should have been our favorite superhero movies. But this is a good lead-in to the... we love the Tim Burton one. I like Batman Returns.
I like Batman Returns. It was still dark enough to give, and Michael Keaton. I mean, I think he was great Batman.
I loved Michelle Pfeiffer. She hammed it up perfectly. And a lot of people didn't like...
Danny DeVito?
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal.
I thought he was phenomenal.
Gruesome. Yeah, that was neat. You got Chris Walken in there, and Batmobile that turns around.
I don't like that they keep killing off the villains, the nemesis in these movies, but,
Yeah. Yeah, there's...
They
at the end
Joker
of Batman, you're like,
one.
well, no more Joker in these sequels.
They killed off the Penguin at the end of that one,
and then you can stop, as we spoke earlier, you can stop at the Burton ones.
Right.
No offense to Val, hey, you were all right. The movie wasn't the best. And he had the best Batmobile. That's my favorite Batmobile, the one from Batman Forever. That's the coolest Batmobile. I mean, they're all just slightly modified versions of all the others that came before, but yeah, I liked it. You like the Burton Batman more than I do, but I like it a lot. It's a good movie. Yeah, I a lot of issues that I won't get into. The Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan.
Those are also good.
Yeah, those are great.
I pull up the original, the Tim Burton Batman because it holds kind of a special place to me, but that's not to mock the Christopher Nolan.
No, not at
ones.
all. Yeah.
I was not a fan of the third one as much as you were, but
wow. Love it.
Still, I mean, I think Christopher Nolan did an excellent job, and bringing Bruce Wayne to his younger self and how it began. So
I liked all that. Yeah, I thought, as we spoke of on a few of our faves on this That's how you do a comic book's, an origin story, a start again. It's not really a reboot. He's just doing his own Batman series.
Yeah, he's just doing his own series.
But no, that's the way you do it, man. I remember being floored by Batman Begins. Like, wow. Mm-hmm. And same with The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, I think, even had more, to me than Batman Begins did.
Oh, it had a lot more in it, yeah.
So.
And then for me, I think they're all equal. Mm-hmm. All equal. In the same way, the Star Wars films, the original trilogy, I have my preference, Empire Strikes Back, but they're all equal in what they're doing.
They all connect.
Yeah. And I feel that way about Batman. And I was terrified when I heard, who's playing Catwoman? Who? What? Anne Hathaway? And she was
surprising.
Great. She really has, yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Les Mis a while back,
and
I saw her on the previews before it came out, and I was like, oh, yeah. I don't know. And then she was actually probably the best one in that movie.
Oh yeah, next to Russell Crowe. But back to
what? What?
Oh, this isn't a Les Mis episode. I know. I'm just kidding. That's for Hellboy, you son of a. Yeah.
Chastise him online.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Come get me, folks. I like Russell Crowe and Les Mis. Come get me. No, the Dark Knight trilogy. For me, when you and I spoke of our list earlier, it's my number 5 or 4. I can't remember which one it is. But yeah, it's. I thought they were all three equal, all three perfect. And I'm not biased because I'm in love with Tom Hardy. But man, because I was like, Bane, is that a strong enough character to have an old? We talked about that. Your villains have to be strong,
right?
And yes, it was well written, well performed. Yeah. I thought loved it.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't do the Batman and Robin, Power Rangers muscles, toy from the 80s.
And he just growled all the time.
They try to give him a little bit more
they
character.
They buffed him up though. My God, he was big.
And that was good. But that whole breaking the back storyline, I read the comics, so it kind of holds a place there, and so I think that's if I hadn't read the comics, I probably would have liked the third one a lot better than I did. But since I had kind of the background of what's going on, it's kind of like when you read a book and go see a movie. The movie's never as good as
never
the book.
Do that. Read the book afterwards.
So I think that's what the third one was for me. But the Joker in the second one.
Oh man.
Come on.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's ad nauseum at this point, but yeah, it's one, and not just in comic book movies or superhero movies. It is one of the great movie villain performances of all time.
And how many people just jumped on the fact of who was going to play him?
Oh yeah.
When it came out.
Oh yeah, like Keaton in the original Batman. Heath Ledger.
Yeah, they were
what?
Just, it never going to work, and I mean he just went someplace evil with that character.
Oh yeah, it was my favorite moment, and we're gonna wrap it up soon, folks. My favorite moment with him in that movie is when he's having the atypical in a superhero movie meeting with all the crime family heads around the table right before he I think he got the point. But he's sitting at the table and his head's kind of down. You know how he looks up, glaring at people, talking, telling his scheme.
Right.
And somebody says, "You're insane," and he just shoots him this look, but he doesn't go over the top. He just very quietly, "I'm not. No, I'm not." And he kind of gathers himself, and then continues. I'm like, "Oh my God, that guy almost died," and that's not even the guy that dies in the scene. That guy came and I just remember when I saw that, I said, "That is that. Oh my God."
Yeah, so many dark moments that he brought to it, but then funny parts too. Like one of my favorites when he's walking away from the hospital. And he's like,
the
things are
uniform.
Yes, but things are blowing up in the background, and he's just like pushing the button.
Yeah.
He like turns around. And he's like, "What? Something's not happening."
And I love it. I love it when he sees Maggie Gyllenhaal at the party when they crash the party. When he says, "We're this evening's entertainment." But he goes up to her and he's like, "Oh," and and he's got this greasy, nasty hair and this gross face, and Puts his hands through his hair, licks his lips a little bit. That's great. Yeah. And the way that he tells his origin story completely different every time, so we don't know what the hell.
Well, that's great because that's comic books. No one knows exactly what is. Exactly. There's different storylines out there. But
no, it's a true. So, whereas the Dark Knight trilogy, Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, is for me one of the all-time great in movie cinema comic book films. Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker is one of the all-time great film performances. Just it's up there with, I don't know who you're gonna. It's his Raging Bull. It's his On the Waterfront because he can't do anything else. So
we'll see
it's fantastic.
We'll see how Jared Leto does in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
I'm not expecting.
I'm not. I'm hit and miss with the Suicide Squad. It's a cool idea. Jared Leto, I don't know. I don't like the tats. Everybody's seen the picture now. He looks great, but I don't think the Joker would tattoo all of his catchphrases all over his body. That's a little silly. Yeah. Will Smith is in it. That's a negative for me. And I just found out yesterday, and no offense to Will Smith, seems like a nice fella, but he just makes the worst movies and gives the same performance over and over. I just found out yesterday Tom Hardy's in it. Yeah, I'm like, what? Okay, let's go. I'm there. So yeah, I'm of two minds of that movie too.
Okay.
But so I'm down for that because it's a cool idea and Tom Hardy's in it. But yeah, I don't know about Leto. I don't. Yeah. Here's the thing. It might be cool and fun. I don't. Cesar Romero from the TV show Batman, which we didn't speak of. Iconic. Nicholson, Joker, iconic. Ledger. We just spoke about it.
Right.
I don't think that Leto will be iconic. I think there's
Mark Hamill.
There's oh yeah, that's right. I forgot, and he is great. You are correct, sir. But I think that there's 3-4 Joker iconic Joker performances before him. So no matter how good he is, I don't think he will be iconic.
Right.
He might just be fun and cool and. I have a problem with the tats. Yeah, we'll see. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And maybe the tats were just for that picture.
Like I said, people were, up in arms about Heath Ledger, so.
Yeah, it's true.
We
and
never
Keaton,
know.
And yeah.
Yeah.
One last thing real quick, side note, and then we'll wrap it up for you guys. The Batman TV show was great. I love it. It's great. It was a lot of fun. It's easy to call it camp. Guess what? They went for camp on purpose.
It was a comic book TV show.
Yeah, but they even said, let's make it campier.
Yeah.
I mean, they had one-liners for Batman, the Bat Dance. Come on, they weren't taking themselves. It wasn't Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. It was
Holy
Batman.
Christopher Nolan Batman.
Exactly. Yeah. Holy Lee Merriweather Batman. Eartha Kitt is sexier as Catwoman. There was 9 Catwomen, But, I mean, talk about iconic villains. Burgess Meredith's performance is everybody who makes fun of our former vice president, or should I say our former president, what's his nuts? Bush's vice president. Oh my God. I am
Cheney.
Thank you. Oh my God.
All I remember is, Jon Stewart's evil Dick Cheney. Wow.
But they all do Burgess Meredith. They all do yeah. And but no, the TV show was fun, and I love stylistically, air quotes, what they did with it. I love that whenever you're in any bad guy's lair, the camera is tilted, and the aspect is off, ratio is off. I love the original Batman. There was a 2-hour movie they made. I have that. My son can't get into that. I've tried.
Aww.
He can't do it. I've showed it to him. I know. But yeah, no, and we can't speak of Batman without speaking of
definitely.
Batman, the TV show, and my son has a picture by the original Batmobile at one of these.
That's awesome.
Horror Fest. Okay, well, we should wrap up ours. Did you have another or anything before we sign off?
No, not really. Unless you wanted to go into our treasures. I don't know what time we have.
We're good. We're at our usual 3 minutes over.
Okay.
I forgot. No, we are doing this intro.
Okay.
I didn't mean that. Like, no, you sit there and you be quiet. I mean, he was trying to remind me that I said let's do hidden treasures every.
Right.
And so let's quickly do our
just
superhero
quickly, we'll
hidden
go
treasures.
into it. Hidden Treasure, great family film, Disney. My brother was in it. The Rocketeer.
Yay, the Rocketeer. We talked about this before, but his is cooler than mine. I love the Rocketeer. It's great. It's just
it's fun.
It's yours. You speak on it.
Again, another superhero. Kind of appealed to me probably because he wasn't like a mutant or had superpowers. Just a normal Joe who finds a rocket and straps it to his back. And Dave Stevens, loved his writing. Great artist. He passed away a few years ago, I believe. But he did a lot of pinup pictures of Betty Page, who's a big character in the Rocketeer.
My wife's
a
Betty Page. We have a Betty Page doll downstairs. Yeah.
But Dave Stevens did some great classic pinup looking drawings of Betty Page. But it's the movie Disney. It's a lot more family friendly.
Very family friendly and a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. So and Jennifer Connelly, pre-Oscar Jennifer Connelly, and Bill Campbell is the Rocketeer, showing us that he probably will never win an Oscar.
Alan Arkin.
Alan Arkin. Alan Arkin. I'm gonna build you a rocket, and you're gonna do it.
James Bond, Timothy Dalton.
Oh, Dalton's the bad guy. Sadly, two movie only James Bond. Yeah. No, that's a great choice. I love the Rocketeer. I want to own that so bad. I might get on Amazon when we get off the mics here. My hidden treasure for superhero movies is The Shadow. Superhero comic book movies, I should say. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. Everybody knows who The Shadow is, based on a 1930s radio program. And Alec Baldwin was a star of it. He played Lamont Cranston. And John Lone was the great descendant of Genghis Khan, who was thawed out and zapped back to life, as most criminals are, as we know. But no, it's a great movie. The Shadow uses mind control on people to make it's a misunderstood gem. It got mixed but mostly negative reviews, and people stayed away in droves. It was supposed to be a big summer release, didn't do anything. And The Rocketeer, I don't think was a huge hit either. I don't
think so. I think
it found its home on home video.
On home video, yeah.
But The Shadow still didn't do that well on home video. Nobody gives a crap. And I think it's really good, really well written. Kind of like what you said, just this great characters, a great look to it, very dark and shadowy.
Right.
And it's a great treasure. So we implore everyone, seek out The Rocketeer, especially seek out The Rocketeer first. Forget about mine. Don't forget about mine. Seek out The Rocketeer and The Shadow. Two great hidden treasures of comic book superhero cinema.
And a last little tidbit for trivia here. Apparently, your favorite,
Ryan Reynolds,
had a original in 1940, directed by James Horn.
Superman?
No, The Shadow.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah.
Oh, no, I know there were Shadow.
Yeah.
I never saw any, but I know there were little serial Shadow movies. But yeah,
1940.
I'd like to check those out. Thank you. That's I'd like to see some of those. But anyway, yeah, The Rocketeer, just a masterpiece, really, and super family friendly.
Oh, yeah. Really fun.
And The Shadow, really good. Bill's was better. All right, underrated. Well, here endeth the superhero lesson.
Okay.
It's fun to talk about superheroes. And next podcast, people, there's a little movie coming out called Mad Max Fury Road. It's been 30 years since...
has it been that long?
Yeah, right?
Has it been? 85.
Yep. 30 years. I was just counting on my fingers. Wait, am I wrong? No, I'm correct.
85.
Yeah, 1985 was Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. I was about to talk about it, but so we're going to do a Mad Max podcast next time.
Excellent.
We'll talk about all three of the movies, Mad Max, The Road Warrior, i.e. Mad Max 2, and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and hopefully, by the time we get the podcast going, one or both of us will be able to talk about Mad Max Fury Road, starring the great Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, yes.
However you pronounce her name.
As Furiosa.
Yeah.
I can't wait. So anyway, next one will be full of car crashes and violent stunts and punk rock post-apocalyptic fun.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm Anthony. I'm one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And you
I'm
are
Bill, and I'm leaving. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Have fun.